Hey guys, so I'm into my 5th day of being unwell. Brought it on myself, and a lesson learned about the boundaries of my body. I had a marathon coming up on Sunday just gone, and as there was something personal about it, in as it's to raise awareness against the witch doctors and the albino killings and the abduction and killing of albino children, special needs children as well, like the ones we protect and care for. I got a little headstrong, I think, egoic perhaps, about my training, and I really pushed very hard because I hoped to place very high in this marathon, was my plan, half marathon. And I'm suffering for it because I then had to deal with sick children, and my immune system is down, as everybody's is when you train hard, and the result has been 5 days of sickness. But it leaves me wanting to talk about many things. I've been updating myself, and I'm going to use this as an example. I've been updating myself on stuff going on in Tanzania whilst I'm catching up on what work I can do, but I couldn't really focus so well. And there's a problem here with elephant poaching, and I'm only going to use this as an example, but also at the same time hopefully you'll learn something about elephant poaching. Not many people know, but if something does not change in as little as 3 years, the African elephant in the wild can be extinct through poaching. When they kill these elephants for their ivory, they don't just kill one elephant. If they kill an elder, which they often do, then they kill the ability for the herds to pass knowledge down, so the herd then make bad decisions, and many more elephants die off the back of the killing of a large female or a large male, because they don't have the knowledge passed down yet. This is why it's so fast at the moment with regards to the possibility, it's heading that way, with regards to the reality of the extinction of the African elephant. And it's a terrible thing, and much is being done. There is a fight to fix this. The governments are fighting too, people are coming. But these poachers are ruthless. I've been myself on a poaching sting accidentally for some leopard cubs that I reported. Someone tried to sell me leopard cubs here, and I wound up in the middle of a poaching sting, which was very intense, with a lot of armed men hiding not far from where we were with machine guns. And this was very intense for me, and I wasn't happy that I got drawn into this without permission. My light just came on. But this is an idea that they are fighting it as best they can. They are. The governments are doing all they can, and hopefully that'll improve. There was a helicopter pilot from England shot down and killed here in Tanzania last year or the year before, who was looking for poachers. They shot him down through his windscreen of the helicopter and killed him. So the fight is on. They are at war with these elephant poachers, and there's much you can do to help this problem. But there are many other factors that you can do to help this problem that people don't see because they don't attune to the bigger picture. Now, let's just get right to the core. The beating heart of that problem is what? Well, first of all, you've got the poverty and the inequality driving the men to shoot these magnificent animals for the ivory. But then you've got those men in the poverty chasing status via finance, or perhaps mindless stimuli via the finance, from a system where you need buyers. And the buyers are in China, for all they are starting to work on it. But what brings Chinese people as a status symbol to feel that ivory is something special? To feel that for some reason, because they earned some money and bought an elephant tusk that was carved into something or had something beautiful painted on it, that somehow this gives them some sort of worth as a human being. It gives them some sort of status as a man or a woman. And this is a very childish state of consciousness that the planet has gotten itself into. And it translates into everything. It translates even into the cars we drive, the need to buy the best car, the flashiest car. You can buy a comfortable car if you so wish, but buy utilitarian if you're going to buy. You see, the same thing that drives those idiots to buy ivory is the same thing that drives those fools to shoot the elephants, is exactly the same thing that drives us to seek for a flashy car, to seek for the flashy clothing. It's the same virus. It's the same virus existing within inside humanity. And it's an immature state of consciousness that's causing it. Selfishness. For a man or a woman to feel that they have achieved something by owning the part of a dead animal, to those of us who have aligned with true consciousness and have become men and became women, we have every right to morally look down on them. We have every right to say, you're a child. You're a child and you're a waste of this energy and this expression of life. And harsh words sometimes are needed, because how else do we educate them? Other approaches can involve love, and you can approach it lovingly and explain, how can you do this? How can you let that magnificent life end itself as something sitting on your wall? How can you allow that magnificent life to end itself as the upholstery of your sofa or your car? No one's to say an elephant's life is any more magnificent than that of a cow. You see, selfishness is at the core of it. And it doesn't matter how many people do something, it doesn't matter how many people inside society pursue these material goals. Selfishness is the problem, and even if the collective is selfish, it does not make it right. We have a major problem on the planet at the moment, and this virus of consciousness is that the world revolves around the singular person's perspective. People actually think these days that they are the center of the universe. What a horrendous way for the devil to make you think you're more important than you are. People think that they are more important than this, not realizing that this is who they are. To feel that you are the center of something, the center of the universe, gives you far too much significance. And I've got news for everybody. We're not significant. We're just life. Springing up, experiencing the experience of this planet, our mother. You see, I have a luxury to the average Western person, or perhaps the average rich Chinese man who insists upon having a dead animal's body part in his house or her house. I have an advantage. My advantage is I've lived in service of God for the last 4 years of my life. 100% with all I've got. I've only ever prayed. It's all I've been able to do. I have been at the mercy of God. But I haven't prayed for myself because I've worked only for others. And it takes its toll on you. It makes you tired. It wears you out. It makes you weary. But I have the luxury that I have lived for others and for God these last years. When you live for others, the importance of yourself completely dissolves and disappears. And you realize that yourself is really not important. The collective is that which is important. When you live in service of others, in short, your selfish ego can't help but go on a long vacation. It has no choice. Because you can't live in service for others while still worrying about yourself. And that's why so few do. So few get out the starting blocks because they say, I want to help people. I want to help those people, those animals, whomever it may be. I want to help the environment. But then they pause and they say, but what if this happens to me? What if I don't have this? What if I put my savings into it and then I've got no security for little old me? Well, therein lies the problem, because for all it's expressing itself in another way. Seems my rescue dogs agree. For all it's expressing itself in another way, that's the same selfishness that makes those Chinese people put the ivory on their mantelpiece. It's the same selfishness. That forces countries like this into such horrific poverty that men are out there killing huge elephants for as little as $250 an elephant. So we can look at this problem and say, for certain, selfishness is the problem. It's the ego. So is anyone to blame for that? Can we blame in this? Can we say that someone could have stopped that? Yes, you can. Christian leaders could have stopped it, for they suppressed the knowledge of the higher self and used it for their own gain. Because someone who can attune to the higher self of the human being, the higher workings of the human, the higher virtues, can function much better in this world and thus can have great control and power and creative ability. But the Vatican can't have that, because the Vatican needs to be in control. This is why they display statues right in the faces of its congregations of pineal glands and pine cones. The sacred knowledge of the higher self, the preservation of the secretion that elevates all men and all women from the ego and the selfishness that is destroying the planet. To sit at the right hand of God, to activate that supposedly in modern science dormant gland in the core of your brain, which is exactly the same as a retina, and to open, which is spoken of in mysticism, the right hemisphere of the brain, meaning the place of the spiritual human being, the place of compassion, worship, and intuition, creativity. They didn't want their followers to know that. There are others too who already know this and dare not share it. Those behind your world leaders. Everybody's panicking about Donald Trump at the moment in North Korea. You're being drawn into a pantomime set up by you for those without morality who have activated themselves into the higher virtues of a human being, or the higher functionings. Sadly, however, they embrace the Luciferian path. And the Luciferian path has no morality. It's weak. I put 20 Luciferians against a man of Christ any day, and I know he'll come out on top. But I mean a man of Christ. I don't mean a man of the church. A man who kneels and asks Jesus to do it for him will not be as strong as a man who is inspired as Jesus was and gets up and goes and does it themselves. A man who prays once a week and calls himself Christian is not a follower of Christ. A man who prays once a week and lives in service and in intention every day to live in a way that would please Christ is a follower of Christ. So we have these other power structures, these Luciferian power structures that make these nations poor. Mineral-rich continents like Africa. You know, the people of Africa were told to steal the words of another man. The people of Africa were told by the missionaries, let's close our eyes and pray upon your land. And when they opened their eyes, they had God and the missionaries had took the land. So we could look to those persons behind our world leaders, North Korea and Trump. It's just another pantomime. I've already shown someone like Donald Trump The whole of his cabinet is Rothschild. Rothschild, head of the Freemasonic societies, head of the Luciferian doctrine and its progression on this planet. The creator of wars, the creator of inequality, the creator of suffering, the creator of poverty, the creator of debt slaves, the creator of child labour, the creator of the black void within inside the consciousness of this planet, which allows for the manifestation of more evil and more hate as they kill the innocent and people struggle to heal from it, so join wars and battles and movements to try and stop or sadly seek revenge, as is often the case if you kill a man's family in front of him. So selfishness is the problem. And you are being forced, many of us are being forced into a state of selfishness by things like the Vatican and the weaklings in charge of the Vatican, who do nothing in the strength of Christ, but everything in the weakness of Lucifer. You have these warmongering families, centralized banks, controlling governments, creating poverty and inequality. Following a Luciferian doctrine. They profit upon people being selfish. So they design ways to make you selfish, using their media, using their substances, using chemicals. So yes, we can blame someone because the game's rigged and we are being forced into that state of being. There's no one in this world, hardly, trying to force you into your higher virtues. Men have tried. Jesus Christ tried, Buddha tried. But there's hardly any trying to raise you into those higher virtues. So, what is this solution to this problem? What do we do? Well, we find a way to get into those higher virtues and watch as our neighbours follow suit. As they see we are happy, they see we are creating, they see that because we had faith, God did what was needed to help those that need it. We didn't sit at home, fearful, I'll be broke, I'm scared to go there, what if I can't do this, what if I'm not good enough? The same selfish weakness that nails ivory to a man's living room wall is expressing itself in those doubts. The preservation of self at the expense of others. Why preserve yourself if yourself is not doing anything? Why not fight? Why not create? Why not love? And when we overcome, or when we come to the understanding, firstly, that selfishness is the root core of this problem, and we identify it in ourselves, we identify it in our actions, and we become conscious. We don't become weak, needing some sort of societal status based on the amount of nice, shiny things we can buy. But we come to a position of strength in morality, in honour, in valour, in compassion, in truth. And we become men and women. Because right now, if you look into the West, what do you see? Young men and young women falling around, vomiting on a weekend. Because the Luciferians have told them that's what you do. And we were weak enough to hear them and say, okay, that's what I do. But you can wake up from it, because I woke up from it. And when you wake up from it, you can change things, you can create, you can build, you can fight. The first thing you do is identify the selfishness in you. If you're going out and getting bladdered, drinking alcohol, stop. Become a creative, functional human being. Become a man. Create, build, help, serve something higher. Serve something more than yourself. This is what God expects of you. The devil expects what you're doing. Most of us. Forgive me if you're listening and you're already with God. But I know God directs my voice to those who need to hear it sometimes. So stop sitting on the devil's lap. Stand in front of him with God on your shoulder. With love and morality. Service to others. And the longer you live in service to others, the faster your selfishness will disappear, because you'll realize that you don't matter. Your opinions don't matter. My opinions don't matter. The truth matters. And the truth is that many of us would be disgusted to use that example of a Chinese business person buying a piece of ivory that has came from a slain elephant. But very few of us would realize that many of our choices are being expressed from exactly the same starting point as his were. Societal status based on wealth. When you attune to a place of real consciousness, not the reality created by the Luciferians and the lies of the Vatican, and you attune to a place of the consciousness where, for instance, a tree grows without complaint, and you can look upon these people with love, but also with disgust. Selfishness is the problem with our planet. And the solution starts with each and every individual to make as few selfish choices as possible, to eradicate that energy pattern from the consciousness of this world, and to begin teaching our children how to be mature, how to be human men, human women, who are not focused on self, but are focused on others in the collective. And we'll have a happier world, a more abundant world. And we'll see a stop to this pathetic ways, such as the killing of magnificent animals, so someone can have an ornament, because they feel it makes them something, because the society they grew up in has left a void in them and they can't fill it, because they've all but sold their soul completely and totally to Lucifer. And they try to fill the void with material trinkets and the pursuit of some sort of class status and the hunger for money which is created by other men. And all the while they sell more and more and more pieces of their soul to Lucifer as they do it. And if it makes you angry and you want to fight it, then start tonight. Sit still in silence. Don't watch YouTube. Don't watch me. Don't watch a movie. Don't watch any of that. Sit still. You fight your ego by looking for it and realizing it's not there. And in that peaceful state of being, once you've looked for your ego and you realize it's not there and all your empty desires go away with it, You open up the door to God's voice, and then you can say, where do I go? And just as he did with I, he can say, go there. And you watch the miracles open in front of you. But seek your ego. Seek the source of your desires first. And when you realize it does not exist, you realize it is nothing but an illusion of your mind, then you can open the doors to God's voice. Then we can start building the change we want to see on this planet. But if you want to spend the rest of your life drinking alcohol so as you can retire and drink alcohol, you want to spend the rest of your life pursuing the next sports car with the leather interior or the ivory tusk, what's pursuing it? And what does it make you when you die? What does it make you? Because to those of us who have opened our hearts and awoken to true consciousness, it makes you nothing. It makes you in need of a lesson. It makes you someone to be loved, someone to be cared for and respected. But if your life achievements are nothing but the hoarding of material trinkets, you achieve nothing. And I don't judge you for it. I just try to shake you and say, stop. For the sake of the innocent, stop. God bless, guys.
Give, always give what you can, even if you are lost your lines in the sand. And dig, always dig a little deeper. Sometimes it's hard to be my brother's keeper, Lord.